What if hiring could be easier, more streamlined, and less time-consuming? So even when you're busy, you could still be smart about the way that you hire. With ZipRecruiter, you could post your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. So you can rest easy knowing your job is being seen by all the right candidates. Then, ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting so you receive the best possible matches. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you, it finds them. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by growing businesses of all sizes and industries to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J. J-A-N-D-J. That's ZipRecruiter.com/J-A-N-D-J. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J.
Hello, the Internet. My name is Jack O'Brien. I'm the founder and former editor-in-chief of Crack.com and the host of the new comedic news podcast, The Daily Zeitgeist.
And I'm Miles Gray, Jack's co-host. The Daily Zeitgeist is a daily comedic news podcast for people who like Crack.com. Are you okay? Do you want some water?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, well, also, if you like podcasts from How Stuff Works, and getting the news from some of the funniest and smartest comedic and journalistic minds around, go to Apple Podcasts to listen and subscribe.
I think we got that.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt.
Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
Welcome to Jalen and Jacoby. He is Jalen Rose.
What up, Joe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in. Center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
Together, we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN2.
What do we do? What they want.
Jalen, we have a problem. You always say on this program there will be no LeVar Ball slander. However, he keeps making objectively terrible decisions. This time, he has pulled not only his son from UCLA on a scholarship, he has pulled his other son, who is 16 years old, out of high school, and they have both signed contracts with a very small Lithuanian basketball team. Jalen, there are reports this basketball team has financial trouble, and they have had an American-born player who left after 1 month. What is your boy LeVar Ball doing with this?
First and foremost, let's clarify something. I'm waiting on my adoption papers to get clear. He's not just my guy, okay? He's going to be my dad soon. That's first and foremost.
I'm very concerned about the advice that he will give you based on what he's done this far.
I'm rolling with the fact I would have handled it a lot different.
You think so?
I
You
would
think
look
you
at
would
it
have?
like this.
You think you would have?
Yes, sir. Here's why. For me, his middle son never had pro potential. So if he's going to play in Lithuania as a freshman in college, that means he'll be a much better player 3 or 4 years from now after playing at UCLA, getting a quality education, walking on a campus with a backpack, hoping to graduate, and then playing professional basketball, because I never felt like he was a professional prospect. For his youngest son, this is not necessarily the best look for his trajectory. You mentioned all of the reasons. The coach doesn't speak English. It's hard for him to help make you better. If the team has financial issues, it's hard for me to say at least you're getting money, both sons, for playing the game that you love, because you can't knock somebody getting paid for their trade. But the problem is, in those situations, they can look at you one day and say, we don't have the funds to pay you. which is an issue.
And we've looked at this before, like Brandon Jennings played a year in Italy and Moutier played a year in China, but those were bigger spots, bigger teams that were sort of grooming you for a professional NBA experience. Let's get some more information on this team in Lithuania. The village that they are in, Pereniu, is a village of approximately 10,000 people. The team is 4-1. Oh, guess what? They lost after the coach got ejected with just 3 minutes left. They signed one American player, Brad Tinsley. He left after a month. There are reports that Tinsley said that the coach did not play him because he could not speak to him because the coach doesn't speak English. They're playing in an arena that only has 1,700 seats. There's also reports that their salary, and I cannot believe I'm even saying this, the reports their salary is around $4,000. Like, none of this seems like a good idea. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to make a prediction, record the tape, make a note. This is happening. They are going to start playing in Lithuania mid-January is what I'm hearing. They will be back in the States. They will be off of this professional team within 2 weeks. I'm making a prediction. They will not last 2 weeks on this team before, guess what? The dad gets mad at the coach and the franchise, and he pulls them out, just like he pulled them out of UCLA, pulled them out of Chino Hills. This is so inevitable and so obvious that I don't even understand why make the decision in the first place.
I'm just going to fall back and watch your prediction because I hate to say this. You take 2 weeks, I'll say a month.
A month. Like, it will not be Valentine's Day. It will not be Valentine's Day, and they will be back in the States, and then LeVar Ball will have some great quotes about how that wasn't the right fit for them, and they're going to be on another team, they're going to make it to the NBA, and they're going to be on the Lakers, and it's all going to be fun and entertaining. But at the end of the day, I think LeVar Ball is extremely entertaining when he speaks into microphones, but I do not think he makes good business decisions on behalf of his sons. It's just a fact. Like, it's hard to even argue that, because in terms of them making their way to the Lakers, which is the goal, this is not the path to the Lakers. I don't know a lot of Lakers that went at 16 years old and played professional basketball in Lithuania and then came back and turned into perennial all-stars. Like, I don't think that is the path, the way to get to Laker stardom. I don't know. I never played in the league, so what do I know? You know?
I like the fact that Lonzo is still trying to salvage his rookie year and blocked out the noise as best you could with all of the distractions that we're discussing right now that have nothing to do with him. It's still his family, his dad, his younger brothers. So there's going to be some concern about what's happening. But I agree with you. Overall, I don't like it for the middle son, and I definitely don't like it for the youngest son that shows so much potential, even scoring 90 points in a high school game.
You know that the Lakers front office and the Lakers coaches were like, does this mean LeVar goes to Lithuania too? Does that mean LeVar goes too? Do we get rid of LeVar from this? Is that what's happening? We'll boost their salary. They're in financial trouble. We'll send them some money so they can host practices if that means LeVar is going to be in Lithuania.
No, he about to be on the Lakers coaching staff.
Yeah, right.
Y'all ain't get rid of me that easy.
Moving on, Shaquille O'Neal was talking with Business Insider, and here's what he had to say. Quote, I told Rick Barry I'd rather shoot 0% than shoot underhand. I am too cool for that. Jalen, is being too cool to shoot underhand, even if it could improve your free throw percentage, a soft move or a boss move?
Only for Shaq. He was the coolest big guy to play in the NBA since Wilt Chamberlain. For those who don't know about the Big Dipper, he epitomized cool for all decades. He put up numbers on and off the floor that have been and will always be unmatched. But for Shaquille O'Neal, a fun-loving big that accomplished so much, a four-time champion and all-time great, he could get away with a comment like that because he still was able to find ways to achieve things that most people, mere mortals like myself, would never get close to. But you can't, if you're not him, actually fix your mouth to say this as an active player, because that's not something media, fans, and coaches, in particular your teammates, want to hear.
I love this. I think this is a boss move. It's like no one looks at Shaquille O'Neal's career and says, oh, yeah, only if he could shoot free throws, maybe he would have been better. He's an all-time legend, top 10, top whatever you want to say it. He is a legendary basketball player with rings on rings, rings from different teams, and it's like, no, he doesn't need to prove anything. Do you know what he did? You throw him the ball, he turns around, he dunks on everybody with people hanging all over him. Then he has to go, the free throws he shot were and one free throws. And he's like, you know what, I already got the hoop. I'll miss it regardless or whatever. I definitely support Shaquille on this one. It's not like anyone looks at Shaquille O'Neal's career and says, oh, he could have been better. He was great. He was dominant for years, and unfortunately, you were on the other side of some of that dominance from time to time.
Well, but he represents the exception, not the rule. You wouldn't implore DeAndre Jordan to feel that way. You would hope he'd go out and do what Andre Drummond did this year, continue to work and get better from the charity stripe. And also, Andre Robertson in OKC playing on the perimeter. You want to see him go to the line and try anything if he's going to shoot a better percentage.
Jalen Rose.
What up, Dow?
There's been this thing with the Thunder. Here's the story of the Thunder this year. All of a sudden, they lost. They kind of lost in a bad fashion in the playoffs. It was Russell Westbrook and basically just Russell Westbrook trying to carry them past the Rockets. Didn't work out. Didn't even seem like a very competitive series. Sam Presti got Russell Westbrook some help over the offseason. Brings in future Hall of Famer Carmelo Anthony. Brings in former All-NBA player Paul George. Now we have a super team. The story of the offseason was there's a new super team in the NBA, and there it is in Oklahoma City. Everyone's celebrating Sam Presti. Didn't start out great. They were losing some games. You know, they didn't seem to mesh or gel. And then they had a night against the Warriors where they absolutely dominated the best team in the NBA. And it seems like, oh, maybe they turned the corner. Guess what? They did not turn the corner. The latest is that they lost to the Charlotte Hornets 116-103. Carmelo Anthony left the locker room before the media even got there. And Paul George said that at some point it's got to stop. The Thunder are now 12-14 and 9th in the Western Conference. I'm starting to be convinced that they might not turn the corner. They might not gel. They might not right this ship. What do you think is happening in Oklahoma City?
What's happening in Oklahoma City is if the playoffs started tomorrow and you have the three individuals on your roster that you just described, they have the ability to get you 15, 20 points in a quarter, take over a half, take over a game, and even take over a series. But during the regular season, the isolation style that has made, in particular, Carmelo Anthony successful, Paul George is playing a lot faster than his normal pace, though he's had his moments where he's really been dominant. And obviously, Russell Westbrook, a triple-double machine, the reigning MVP. What needs to happen is playing in the Western Conference, it's hard to have an undersized player not named Draymond Green playing the 4 spot, which Melo occupies. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's going to be able to get you offense, though he's shooting a career-low percentage, but where are those shots coming from? Mid-range, off of post-ups, ISOs, and or catch-and-shoot threes. He can do that, but that's not necessarily the strength of his game. That's the positive. Now let me get to all of the negatives. Okay. Everything else.
Everything else. Let's focus
Who
on
he's
Westbrook.
Going to guard, rebounds, shot blocking, help side defense, strong side pick and roll defense. It's just not his body style or type to go against guys like a workman like a Taj Gibson, who's been throwing his elbows and knees around playing 4 and 5 for his entire life. They're just too big. For Russell Westbrook, however, the adjustment is to continue to play like you did last year and elevate the play of Steven Adams, who's been playing well. Get more out of Grant, who I like his live legs, and he's going to get more minutes up front. And then continue to nurture Paul George in the half court to get his offense going. And Melo will find a way, has to find a way to get his after that, because they've competed defensively. But a couple of things that they struggled at are surprises. Losing games when they're the favorite, losing games when they're up double digits, and losing games clutch time in the fourth quarter. 3 things that we didn't expect.
And there have been fourth quarters where they lost the lead and Paul George didn't attempt a field goal. There have been fourth quarters where it just seemed like that one of those 3 just kind of disappeared for long stretches of time. I want to talk to you about Westbrook and his play, because there's a part of me that looks at Westbrook and says, maybe Westbrook is the best he can be when he doesn't have these supporting these supporting superstars. Like maybe Russell Westbrook plays best when it is he has the ball and he says, I have to put this thing in the basket or I have to pass to somebody who's going to shoot and put it in the basket. Like maybe that approach to the game is what suits his game best and perhaps be best for the team.
I disagree. I deny and disagree with that statement because I've seen him play with one player that won 4 scoring titles and Kevin Durant and won the MVP. And I also saw him play with James Harden, who's manning a Houston team that has been top 2 or 3 in the West the last couple of years. And don't be surprised that yearly, not only is he in the conversation for top player, but putting up astronomical numbers. That level of sacrifice was made by those 3, which is why they made the NBA Finals as a young squad.
So here's something that I could see happening. You remember, Sam Presti, the front office, are celebrated after building this super team with 2 trades where they certainly seem to get the better of the trade with Paul George and Carmelo Anthony. I mean, they were celebrated, and this team had high expectations. We always say that your happiness is a function of your expectations. Then they're now below expectations. Do you know what they're not going to do? Can't trade Carmelo Anthony. His no-trade clause comes with him to Oklahoma City. You're not going to trade Paul George. No one wants to rent Paul George for a couple months before he could leave. You're not. Russell Westbrook's locked in forever. He's not going to be traded. So you can't really make these personnel moves to try to turn the corner. What do? When you're the front office and you think that you've done a great job for yourself and you've got a bunch of players that you can't really trade, what happens to make an adjustment midway through the season, Mr. Rose? What is that?
I don't like lobbying for anyone to lose their job, but since you can't trade all of the players, you get on the phone with David Fizdale or Mark Jackson and try to get them to town.
It just feels like when the front office looks in the mirror and says, well, I did my job, and you look at the roster, you say, there's not much we can do with this, and you look at Billy Donovan, and you look at the tweets that Kevin Durant sent out talking about, disparaging Billy Donovan, it seems like that could be something that does happen. And again, I'm not lobbying for them to do it. I'm just basing this on a pattern of NBA behavior that I've seen over decades where if the owner and the front office feels like there isn't another move that they can make to change the mojo, to change the trajectory of the team, that firing their coach is something that they often do. And I could see it in this case. But here's one thing I wanted to ask you about, Jalen Rose. Carmelo Anthony left the arena before the Thunder's locker room was open to the media, okay? I've never, ever played an NBA basketball game. I don't know what the logistics are like in the locker room, how long you get to change. Are you still naked when the media gets in there? Is there a back door you can sneak out of? Is this disparaged? Do you have to tell a coach before you leave? Take me through the process of not being there when the media gets there. How do you leave? Is someone mad at you? Does the PR person know? Is he going to get fined? What happens?
There's a cool-down period, 10 minutes for the coach to meet the media, 20 minutes overall for everybody can come into the locker room. What ends up happening in that case, you could do a quick shower. We call that a shower pill, where you basically don't wash your underarms or your midsection. You actually put some water on your face and your head, and you run and throw your clothes on without barely being dry. I've done that before, multiple times. Or you could just not take a shower. I've never done that.
Well, you've done that in Phoenix when you didn't play.
No, I didn't do that because I actually worked out because I thought I was going to play. That made it worse. And pre-game, you knew Mike D'Antoni wasn't playing over 7.5 guys. So the other 7.5, we worked out. We knew we wasn't getting in.
So doesn't the media see? So he just basically you have a 10-minute period to get in and out of the locker room if you don't want to talk to anybody. And it basically happens after losses, right? Is there a
Yeah, you never see guys like I had 81 points, so I don't want to talk to the media.
Yeah, I have 40 points, 15 assists, and 10 rebounds, but I'm going to dip out before I can talk to the media. Yeah, I don't see that happening very much. Will someone from the Oklahoma City PR team say, hey, Carmelo, you can't do that. Make sure you're available for the media. It's part of your contract.
No, he knows his responsibilities. The league is going to fine the team and or fine him. There's nothing to be said.
Really? So you think there'll be a fine?
He was just in New York City. You don't think he know the media obligations in OKC?
Interesting.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt
more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
It's time for one of my favorite segments. Me, you, and Method Man gonna keep it moving. Here's how it works, Jalen. I'm going to bring up a topic. If it's worth discussing, you ask me to hit the brakes. If it's not, we keep it moving. Jalen Rose, Joel Embiid is predicting that the Sixers will go to the finals. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
I like his confidence, but keep it moving. They got a long way to go before they get to the NBA Finals.
Next, Kevin Durant draws his inspiration from Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine.
Hit the brakes.
Mark Medina on Twitter said that KD claims he watched The Defiant Ones, a documentary about Interscope Records and Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. It's excellent. KD claims he watched it, quote, every day for a good stretch this summer. Jalen, this is a 4-part HBO documentary series. It took me 2 days to watch. Why is he claiming he watched it every day for a good stretch this summer?
David, I hate to say this, but it might be cultural.
What do you
Done
mean?
this too.
No, this is like LeBron with The Godfather. It's like just saying stuff like, I read the entire Godfather every day forever. I've seen every Godfather trilogy movie a million times. Like, KD, I know you watched this once. You might have watched this twice, but you did not watch this every day for the summer, Jalen. I know you didn't.
Jacoby, here's how it works.
Tell me.
When you like a movie, say Paid in Full, Boys in the Hood, for example, and you're watching television and nothing's on in the summer, no NBA, NFL, college football, college basketball, it's dog days of Major League Baseball. The only thing to watch is really Power. And once that's not on, I'm going through the DVR. I've watched multiple episodes of Defiant Ones multiple times. I can't front. I've done it.
Saying you've watched multiple episodes multiple times is different than saying you watched it every day for a stretch this summer. But we disagree. But let me tell you something. Rewatching stuff is not cultural because my son has seen the same movies a million times. Let's move on. NFL signed a $2 billion Verizon deal. Keep it moving or hit the brakes. Thinking about this one.
Keep it moving.
Okay.
Keep getting them checks, Roger Goodell.
Next.
They had to get the bread to pay him.
An Uber driver was charged $18,000
Hit the
for a
brakes.
5-mile ride. A Toronto man was charged more than $18,000 for a 5-mile ride that should have cost about $10 after an error in surge pricing. According to the friend, Uber said they wouldn't give a refund, but eventually they did get refunded for the $18,000 ride. I have a lot of questions about this. First of all, there is no credit card that I have that I could put into my Uber account that would clear an $18,000 cash. So this Toronto dude has got to have some great credit for real. And also, how do you tip on that? You know, did you think you tip? Someone charged you $18,000? You still going to tip 20%? You're going to Jalen, like, I know you like to tip. I know you like to tip big. You tip based on, the service you get and also the charge. How much would you tip on an $18,000 ride?
$3,600 is 20%. You hope to get to $3,750.
$3,750. That's going to be a 5-mile, $21,000 ride. $21,500 ride. I love this story. I love that Uber said they first wouldn't refund it. Because I don't know if that's true. Like a friend said that. It's probably not true. But I love to be the phone operator at Uber, help, and just be like, nah, hey, that's what it says. Surge pricing, dog. Surge pricing. $18,000. Thank you very much. Next.
I just hope that it happened at a time where he didn't get jammed up trying to pay some other bills.
There is no time when you're not trying to pay other bills. Next. The Giants are upset that Eli Apple was tweeting during the game. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Apple replied to someone wondering why he wasn't playing by tweeting, "I'm too healthy," and then retweeted an Ohio State fan celebrating Cowboys running back Rod Smith's touchdown before adding, "Always be a Buckeye." Do you have a problem with the Giants being upset that he was tweeting during a game?
I understand as a player you want to do that, but you understand your duties to your squad and picking up your check, that's just unacceptable and unprofessional, something you can't do during the game.
If you go to a football game, there is a lot of downtime. That's all I have to say. A lot of downtime in football. A lot of time in between quarters, a lot of timeouts, a lot of TV timeouts. Next, Matt Barnes has announced his retirement. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I would say keep it moving, except if you Derek Fisher.
For once, we're going to report on some good news, especially out of the NFL. Juju Smith-Schuster is taking hundreds of kids to see a movie called Jumanji. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Oh, he loves the kids. Juju and Jumanji, hit the brakes.
Well, after the release of Jumanji on Christmas Day, Smith-Schuster invited about 190 kids from the Pittsburgh area to come to a screening of the film, which is very nice, especially because he is so early in his career. His salary is not that high. I love this gesture, but it does lead to one question. Jalen Rose, can you explain the plot to Jumanji? This is the second Jumanji movie, and it's also a board game. You have to have heard of Jumanji before.
Jumanji, kids movie. It's a cartoon. It's about prehistoric animals.
Oh, okay.
I think I recall seeing dinosaurs and all type of ancient archival.
What happens at the end of the film?
Animals that eventually went extinct, and all the kids cry on Christmas Day with Juju.
You're the best. Moving on, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has a new career. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Oh, hit the brakes. I got love for him.
I know you love Dale Earnhardt Jr. You guys have a special bond. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his wife Amy are starring in a home improvement miniseries for the DIY network. I watch a lot of programming that is about renovations of homes, purchases of homes. I watch way too much of this stuff, but there's something about this I want to ask you. Do you think this was his wife's idea?
I think it was their idea because when you have the kind of bread that he's had for so very long, you're buying and selling a lot of real estate. And to your point, you're fixing up places, and you're like, we figured out where to put a backsplash. We know how to do some cabinets. We know how to do some counters. We understand we can have a contractor to come in and handle some things. Boom, we can do this on our own and make it a TV show. I'm going to watch it.
You know who had a similar show that I loved? Vanilla Ice.
No. Under pressure.
Jalen.
What up, though?
You mentioned Lonzo Ball earlier, and you mentioned that he was struggling. And I want to disagree with that. Happiness is a function of what?
Expectations.
Did we expect Lonzo Ball to be a 40% three-point shooter? You know? Like, did we expect Lonzo Ball? No. But, like, did we expect Lonzo Ball to do what Ben Simmons is doing? You know, look like someone who could be a franchise player? Like, I thought that Lonzo Ball looked like he would be a great facilitator for his teammates. And being someone who handles the ball that much will probably turn it over, especially in his first year in the league. And I didn't expect him to score that many points, especially, you know, outside of 15 feet from the basket. And that's pretty much what he has done up to this point. About his own performance.
But you're talking about the realistic expectations that you and I had. What about everybody else that thought he was Jason Kidd or Magic Johnson?
Well, if anybody thought he was Magic Johnson, I mean, that's a lot. But Lonzo Ball talked about his own performance after 25 games. He said, quote, I think I'm doing okay. There's a lot of room for improvement still, but the season kind of just started, so I'm still trying to learn things. Biggest thing for me is just coming in every night ready to work, take one challenge at a time. Not exactly the loquacious, braggadocious approach that his father has. But what do you think about Lonzo Ball's self-assessment up to this point?
The league will humble you. You're going against the best players around the world, and you figure like, man, while I've made some strides, had a couple of triple-doubles, I'm still balling for a storied franchise. And Magic Johnson said he wanted to see my number in the Raptors. I got work to do. So that sounds like a player that understands that he has a long way to go to meet the expectations that so many have for him coming out in the draft.
Well, clearly the Chicago Bulls were off to a bad start, but they're not on a win streak, Jalen Rose. They're on a win streak.
We're not done.
They're
One of my guys. We're not done.
They're on a win streak. I think they've won 2 in a row. And you know what the common thread has been in those 2 wins? Nikola Mirotic is back. Nikola Mirotic is back. They're undefeated since Mirotic has been reinserted into the lineup. Him and Bobby Portis are now sharing the floor at the same time. Sometimes they kind of play the same position. But there have been times when they gave each other high fives in celebration during like a timeout, and you walk to the bench or after a bucket or something. How does that dynamic play out? You know, like how do you make that work?
Professionalism. That's it. They don't have to be the best of buddies, good friends on the road, or hang out with one another. But look at it like this. For everybody that listens to this program, male and or female, that say has a corporate job, you may or may not like somebody that you work with.
Oh, you definitely don't.
But you likely sit on the same toilet they do when you go to the bathroom.
That's one way to put it. You know what I don't like seeing? And you know we don't like to talk about bathroom stuff, but you brought it up. This happened to me today. I was going in as somebody was coming out. As somebody was coming out of the stall. I just don't like to know. I know in my head that this stall is used by dozens of people a day, but I just don't like to have evidence that that's the case. You know, I just don't like to know that's the case. It kind of got in my head a little bit. I was just like, oh man, like just 20 seconds ago, this dude's butt cheeks were right here where my butt cheeks are now. I know that's the case, but I just don't like that. I don't like the confirmation. This? Don't get fired.
When you're in a public restaurant or sporting event and the line is long and you have to go. It's one thing about knowing your coworker just got off. What about a complete stranger you're going to get on 2 seconds after they get off with 25 other people watching you go do it?
All right, I got to talk about this. We're going to go away from the number 2.
I'm talking about pooping. I'm talking about pooping.
That's Reggie. That's Reggie pushing a button. That's not Jalen talking. Here's one thing that happens, and I go to Staples Center now. It's a phenomenon I don't really understand. And you know my philosophy, you have to live like everybody in the world lived like you did. Like, would the world be a good place if everyone made the same decisions that you did? But however, I don't live up to that standard. Because when I'm at the halftime or in between the quarters and there's a line, this happens in Madison Square Garden too, there'll be a line to go in the in part of the bathroom, but no line to go in the exit. I cannot be the only person that just goes in the exit and then just waits for someone to be finished at a urinal and just goes right in front of them. Everybody does that, right? Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, you were able to get away with that before you got famous.
I'm
now
not
somebody's
famous.
Gonna call you
I'm
on
not
it.
famous, Jalen. I'm not Jalen Rose. I'm the dude. I'm like the people come up to me and they're like, you know, you look like Jacoby. You know what I mean? No one will say, hey, you look like Jalen Rose. People come up to me and they'll be like, you look like that guy Jacoby. That guy Jacoby's on the middle of the night, ESPN. But man, I can slide. I slide in the exit every time.
Then. Broken news: David Jacoby gets into argument in bathroom stalls because he tried to take cuts.
To everyone else, it's breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby listeners, it's broken news.
Well, I'll tell you one thing won't happen. That argument will not get physical. That will not happen.
And big shout out to Jim Jones, who offered Colin Kaepernick a spot on his new NFL squad.
Shout out. Jim Jones.
Ballin'!
Jim Jones has an NFL squad?
Yeah, he the co-owner of the Richmond Rough Riders.
Oh. That's exciting. Jim Jones used to come to Kingdome games, and it was like rules that applied to other people didn't really apply to him. Like if he wanted to get from one side of the court to the other, it didn't matter where the ball was. He would just walk through the action like a referee. Like he would just walk through it in the middle of a play. Players didn't hesitate to say anything. The guy in the mic wouldn't say anything. The people in the crowd didn't say anything. It was just like, oh, it's Jim Jones, so we got to work around him. Shout out to Jim Jones.
All I know is I love Jim and Freaky Zeke. And Killer Cam, Hell Rel,
Joel Santana.
Like we need. We need to get some more bars out of them as a collective if possible. Throw Mace on there, too, like Redman with the Wu-Tang album.
Exactly. So, do you have a Netflix account, Jalen?
Molly has a Netflix account, and I use her password she lent me.
And here's what happens when you get to that home screen where it's like, who are you? And there's a long list of names. I got a bunch of kids. Like, I'm just going to put whoever's on top. Like, Netflix doesn't need to know whether it's me or my wife. Like, just let me watch my reality TV. You know what I mean? Let me watch Project X.
But they need to know if it's Q because they no telling what he might be in there watching.
Q. Children are very tech savvy nowadays. Let's just say that. So Netflix put out a bunch of data. And there's a person that watched Pirates of the Caribbean on Netflix 365 days in a row. What? Jalen, 365 days in a row. What? How is that possible? This is like Kevin Durant with the Defiant ones.
The only thing I do every day is breathe. I can't think of another thing that I do every single day.
I think that this is Johnny Depp trying to relive his glory years, but he falls asleep every time. You know what I mean? That's what I think really happens. I think this is Johnny Depp's Netflix account. I don't believe this really happened.
Somebody could be on bed rest or sick.
Finally, we have this news, Jalen. Scientists have found human-sized penguin fossils. They found penguins that are 5 foot 10 inches long. And they swim, and they weighed 223 pounds. Human-sized penguin.
You know what? I think people are more confident when they're proud of their fossils.
I don't even know what that's a reference to, but I assume it's going to get us fired. So I got to do something to you, Jalen.
Brace yourself. Jalen Rose is about to explain a movie plot.
Explain the plot to Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, that's easy. First off, Johnny Depp is in it.
Yeah.
He's an angry pirate that looks like Slick Rick with the patch over his eye.
Okay.
He continues to have assault weapons.
Yep.
He doesn't come to shore for good at all. And watching how he navigates on his ship, I wouldn't want to be somebody that's a guest. I wouldn't want to be somebody that is doing the task that he's setting out to do. It seems like that he's trying to take over the world.
So what happens in the movie?
That is what happens.
What role would you like to play on the boat, the Black Rose?
Oh, no, we're really particular about what boats we're going to get on.
As always, we appreciate everyone that sends in Twitter questions, especially some of our associate producers, one of which is Uncle Mar. He says, my girlfriend thinks a woman should never ask a man to marry her. It should always be the man. What do you think? It's 2017, Uncle Mar. It's 2017.
Correct. Yes, that's where I was going, you know family.
What? And like, let's be real about this. Push the button, Reg.
I like where you're going.
Sometimes
I like where you're going.
A woman can ask a man to marry them without getting down on a knee and asking for a ring. Sometimes there can be some hints, some threats, some ultimatums. There can be some discussions that get heated that will certainly lead to a man proposing to a woman. That was certainly the case in my relationship.
And I'll give you another way to look at it also is her opportunity to find out if he's wanting the same thing from the relationship that she wants.
Exactly.
On her time.
Thank you for the question, Uncle Mar, and especially Uncle Mar's girlfriend. Shout out to you guys.
Shout out.
Basically, you gotta ask her to marry you, Uncle Mar. That's what she's saying. She's saying, don't ever think that I'm gonna get down on a knee and get a ring for you. So this is a very important question that comes with a story about myself and Mr. Rose when we were off wax. Brad Cripp, shout to him.
Shout out.
Says, micheladas, yay or nay? Asking for the Latino community and then put a Mexican flag. I have to make a confession. I had never, ever even heard of a michelada before I moved to the Los Angeles area. I had never tasted a michelada. If you told me what a michelada was, I would say, I don't know. I don't know. Is that a pina colada in Michigan? However, I was one time at an adult establishment, and the gentleman next to me asked for a michelada. And I looked over, and I didn't know what it was. And I was trying to be cool, look at my phone or whatever. But I was secretly watching the bartender make it. And I was like, wait a second. That's like a Bloody Mary, except instead of vodka, it's like 18 ounces of beer with some tomato and a little extra sauce. And I was like, I want one of those. And I tasted it, and it was fantastic. Micheladas are great. And not only did that happen to me once, I started ordering micheladas from time to time. And one time, Jalen Rose and I were out at an establishment where they serve adult beverages. And I asked for a michelada. Jalen asked for whatever fruity drink he asked for. My michelada came, and he said, what is that? And I was like, it's like a beer with some tomato juice and a little bit of Tabasco sauce, maybe some other things that I don't know. And he said, let me try one. And Jalen took a sip. And it was like the old Life cereal commercial where they say, Mikey likes it.
He likes it.
Jalen proceeded to order nothing but micheladas for the rest of the evening. I believe we were watching the Final Four. I think Frank Kaminsky was playing, if I remember this correctly. Jalen, micheladas, yay or nay? Brad wants to know.
Yay, because of the story you just described. It's just one of those things that when it's time to have a beverage, it feels like it takes too long for that one to come. So order something else first.
Yeah, there you go. There are some ingredients. And also, it did remind me of a red eye. And if you don't know what a red eye is, Google it. And I'm not talking about coffee. Next question we have is from John Span. Soft move or boss move? Re-gifting a present from your job's Christmas party that you'll never use to someone. I got golf balls and gloves, but I've never played golf ever. I fully support re-gifting. This is a boss move. I fully support re-gifting.
Definitely a boss move. Re-gifting versus stashing, throwing away, or never using.
Exactly. And just because you don't play golf, John, doesn't mean the people around you don't play golf. And they would appreciate it. Another thing is, it's like, I always know a re-gift when I see it. You know? Like, you always know when someone got you a gift. Or there's this one friend of the family where I go over their house, and I can take one of my wife's friends of the family, and I can tell that they had a present for her, but they're just re-gifting something for me. You know what I mean? They're like, here's an alarm clock with a CD player. And I'm like, wait a second. It's 2015. I don't need an alarm clock with a CD player.
You know I ain't want this.
Yeah, you just went into the garage. You heard I was coming, or you heard my voice. You went in the garage and wrapped something up real quick. You know what? Shout to them.
Shout out.
I think Bill Simmons did that to me once. I think he gave me like some sort of like it was some sort of like alarm clock / you know what I mean, like iPod dock, speaker system. He's like, this is really great. These are really good. And I was like, Bill, you didn't have to get me a present.
You'll love this.
Yeah,
I promise.
I didn't get you anything, Bill, so it's not like you owe me something. If I got you something, I can understand if you re-gifted me something. But come on, Podfather. As always, love and respect to the great Podfather. Without the Podfather,
always,
none of this happens.
Shout out.
He is
no question
the genesis, the catalyst of everything that is Jalen Jacoby on ESPN Radio. Uh-oh. Another question from Uncle Mar.
What up, Uncle Mar?
Whose career would you rather have, Tony Hawk or Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I know he's your guy, but I'm going Tony Hawk here for this reason. If you are my age, which is 39, about to be 40, there was a good 10-year period where Tony Hawk was basically the coolest person on the planet. Like, he had a job, but it's like, when you watch Tiger Woods play golf, like, the actual act of golf isn't cool, but you watch Tony Hawk skate on a skateboard, you're like, he looks cool while he does this. Like, he looked great, and I'm not a video game guy, unless we're talking about Golden Tee. But Tony Hawk's video games. Tony Hawk's video games meant everything to me for like a 5-year stretch. Tony Hawk is the man. Dale Earnhardt.
I ain't mad at that choice.
Dale Earnhardt, you got to spend a lot of time at the racetrack. A lot of time at the racetrack. And look at Tony Hawk, right? Tony Hawk's wearing like baggy jeans and like cool like signature sneakers. He's got hair in his face. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is wearing like a mechanic suit with logos all over it from different corporations. It's just not as cool.
Getting them checks.
And they both have enough money. You know what I mean? I know that athletes don't athletes never think there's no such thing as enough money, but when you're just a civilian, like, you got over $20 million, like, there's nothing else to even talk about. You know? Like, you're fine.
It ain't just athletes.
Listen,
it ain't just athletes.
Listen, but I'm in the world of athletes, and athletes always say, like, oh, well, he's not going to leave $4 million on the table. As a civilian, you Google that athlete, you're like, you made $200 million. Like, you made $200 million. What's the extra for?
First off, I made 100 because Uncle Sam took 50.
I wasn't talking about you specifically, by the way. I was just making up numbers.
No, I'm just saying that's what happens in those. It's always 35% of the real number.
Okay.
Please believe me.
Well, still.
Here's a couple of things that people never account for.
130 million sounds good.
People never account for how many insurances you have.
Because you're so rich, you have so much expensive things that you need to insure them. Do you know how many insurances I have? Like zero. Zero. I don't have anything insured.
Jacoby, when you get a chance, look at your check.
Okay.
There's insurance taken out of it.
Health insurance.
For health and dental.
Health and dental.
For not only yourself, but for your wife and for your kids.
Kids don't have teeth. All those teeth are falling out. All my kids' teeth are falling out. Why do I have to pay for that?
Your residence has insurance also. And your vehicle. Definitely the luxury minivan is insured.
Oh. Now, Jalen, I'm glad we have you here and your expertise, because there is a phenomenon sweeping the world when it comes to statue news. Statues have been terrible lately. We all know about the terrible Ronaldo statue. And then in a town in India, they put up a Diego Maradona statue that looks nothing like him whatsoever. First of all, his head is 75% hair. There's this is a mess. That looks nothing like him. It looks like an old woman. It looks like an old woman. As the senior statue analyst, not of ESPN, but of the world, how does this keep happening with statues?
I'm disappointed in this one. This one makes him look like Michelangelo from the 1700s. Not a fan of how this was done in any way, shape, or form. I'm disappointed to the point there will be a redo. Mark my words. I guarantee you, this statue will not be erect longer than 2 years. They will redo another one, I promise you.
I like that. But let's imagine that you're at the unveiling of the Fab Five statue. We know it's going to happen before you die. It's going to be like 30 years from now. You know, people are going to be like, all right, now it's time. Let's put up the Fab Five statue. And then you're sitting there, and then they take off the curtain, and you look at yourself, and you look nothing like yourself. You look like a very ugly, weird version of yourself. Will you be able to hide the disappointment on your face?
See, here's the thing. I didn't get handsome until I got money. When I was broke, that is the ugly version.
It's a good
bad
point.
Skin, bad teeth, bad haircut. But
if you hear they're making a statue, will you send them some pictures to be like, make sure you make my teeth like the teeth now and my hairline like the hairline now? You got to. Get ahead of it. Get ahead of it. I'll write a strongly worded email if I hear about a statue in Ann Arbor. Moving on.
We disagree. No, I got to have the old school statue with the chipped teeth and everything.
No, I don't think so. Trust me. Trust me. Moving on. The Steelers have won 8 straight games, while the New England Patriots laid an egg on Monday Night Football in Miami. The game was only a 7-point differential, but it was much more dominant from that. Tom Brady looked kind of old, and they didn't have Gronk, and the offense didn't even complete a single third down conversion. Based on those 2 games, do you still have the Patriots coming out of the AFC to get into the Super Bowl?
Beginning of the season, I felt like it would be the Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship. I'm still sticking with that. It's one of those things where all of the other 52 guys at coaching staff look at Gronk and say, see, these are the type of things, you're not there when we need you, it costs us a game. A squad that's lost 4 or 5 while going to South Beach over the last couple of years, You mentioned 0 for 11 on third down the first time since 1991. You got to give the Dolphins defense credit. A couple of picks, getting to the quarterback, and Jay Cutler actually played well and silenced his critics at least for a week.
He did. I found that concerning as a die-easy Patriots fan. Those two picks you were talking about were good plays, but they were both underthrown balls. Tom Brady didn't complete a pass to a wide receiver until the third quarter. It just seemed like, I don't know if adding Gronkowski is going to solve all these problems. They had trouble on defense. It just felt like there was a lot of injury, replacement, backup players on defense. It seems like you can only get by on coaching as fast, as long as you can. You're going to need to add some talent, which the Steelers certainly have at their skilled positions on offense.
When you talk about the Patriots, remember two things, everybody. Take this to the water cooler. They won the Super Bowl last year without Gronk and without Cook.
I do like that. Cooks had one catch. And at the game was Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter attended the game in Miami after he traded away the MVP of the MLB. Should Derek Jeter have just stayed home, Jalen? Shouldn't he have just watched this one from home?
No, he's waiting for the New York Yankees to erect his second statue for delivering them a couple of championships in Stanton.
Like, Jalen, if you are Derek Jeter, like, not only are you attending the Monday Night Football game, the day after the Giancarlo Stanton held up a pinstripe Yankees jersey in a press conference, you're not just going out in public in Miami. You're also not in Orlando, which is not far away, at, the winter meetings. Don't you feel like the CEO, the president of the Marlins, should attend some winter meetings? I know you don't like meetings, Jalen. I know you don't like meetings. But come on. Don't you feel like Derek Jeter should have attended the winter meetings instead of making a public appearance on Monday Night Football?
You got to gauge the pulse of the people. This is the time where you send somebody else to the winter meetings. You need to start being in front of the public, going and allow them to air their grievances right now.
Oh, see, here's the thing. I forgot Derek Jeter was on the list. You're sitting over here defending LeVar Ball sending his sons to Lithuania. You're defending Derek Jeter going to a football game after he traded the MVP when he should be at a meeting. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Like, let's be honest. Let's be real. Derek, just watch the game from home. Watch the game from home. You know, if you're not going to go to the meetings, watch the game from home. You know why he didn't go to the meetings? He didn't want to answer questions about trading Giancarlo Stanton. Because not just from the media. Every single person that he saw would say, Derek, what happened there? You know, does Cashman know something about those gift baskets or something?
Here's the thing. That's very nice, sir. You're now an owner of the Marlins.
Part owner.
So you want to ingratiate yourself with that fan base. You don't do it by trading the MVP. But you rather have them mad at you initially than New York mad at you ever.
Oh, New York's not mad. New York is not mad at Derek Jeter right now.
I was walking through the calf, and I felt bad. I took it out on Tim Kirchin. I'm like, what's going on in baseball? Like, seriously? He like, yeah, they got Magic and Bird on the same team. I'm like, that's LeBron and Jordan.
It is. Ladies. Jalen.
Hey,
ladies, don't forget to call 985-80-JALEN to leave us voicemails. Tomorrow is Woman Crush Wednesday. We always celebrate the women in our lives and around the world by taking only female voicemails. Today, we're taking all voicemails. You call 985-80-JALEN. You leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show just like this.
Got to give the people what they want. Y'all know I had that in me, huh? Big Mo, calling from Toronto. Shout out Reg. Shout out Big Crown. Us bigs got to stick together. Anyways, I have a question for Jalen. I need you to take us behind the curtain on this one. How important are basketball plays in the NBA? I'm talking about the plays the coaches drop and everything like that, especially when you get traded from a team. Do you use that against your former team, Is that the reason the Celtics lost to the Heat, that Kelly Olynyk gave out all the plays? Anyway, take us behind the curtain, give the people what they want. I am the person. Got to give us what we need. Peace.
Big Mo in Toronto.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. Shout out. He has an amazing voice. Reg, why don't you clip that off? And instead of me having to sing, we could just use that one.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I tried. That's one. Number two, let me tell you how important basketball plays are. When you're watching an NBA game, see the effective and the efficient play that someone like a Brad Stevens does. Out of timeouts, sideline out of bounds, underneath the basket, inbounds plays. Usually, he's amongst the elite in the league at not only getting a quality shot, but actually executing. When you talk about being a really good team, you need a couple of players to play at an all-star level. When you talk about being an all-time great team, they all have coaches that fit the bill. Showtime Lakers, who was their coach?
Pat Riley.
Yep. The Jordan Bulls, who was their coach?
Philip Jackson.
Yep. Shaq and Kobe, who was their coach?
Still Philip Jackson.
Yep. What about Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Kawhi Leonard?
Gregory Popovich.
Yep. What about in the NFL, say, who's Tom Brady's coach?
Bill Belichick.
Yep. So who's making the decisions? Because it's not only in the huddle, but they get input personnel-wise. So it definitely does matter, no question about it.
But here's a question, Jalen. Like, we all know coming out of a timeout, especially at the end of the game, when a play is drawn up, you can see who they're going for. They have other options. It looks really intelligent and coordinated, and you can see what's happening. But, like, middle of the second quarter, you know, in the flow of the game, and there hasn't been a stoppage of play for 7 minutes, sometimes it does feel like me at the gym. Like, we're just going to go try to figure this out.
Well, here's the thing that's different about basketball and football. What happens when the ball stops in football?
They huddle up. They call play. I mean, football is a very strategic, coordinated. Everybody has a job to do. If they're in this defense, then you block this person. You know, it's all in their big binders. They practice. There's a lot of responsibilities and adjustments and pre-snap reads. Basketball is a lot more flow. Basketball is a lot more improvisational dancing instead of a choreographed tango. You know what I mean?
So if a team is going to make 40 field goals, we're not going to stop looking around at each other before somebody puts the ball in the hole, because the game keeps on moving.
But here's a question: Is every possession in the NBA? Is there a play call on every possession that's not in transition?
Transition plays are just that. It's called a secondary break. They're plays that you set up after a dead ball. So whether the team is back set defensively, whether it's a made free throw, whether it's a made basket, that's usually a different set play versus your secondary offense, where you hope to get a faster shot as the play develops. And then there are teams that hope to move the ball side to side, like the San Antonio Spurs, to get action on the weak side. Mm-hmm. Then there are teams like the Houston Rockets that want to launch up the first three they see.
And the Houston Rockets, it feels like
a lot of that is style of play as well.
With the Rockets, it feels like James Harden brings the ball up and somebody sets him a pick, and he goes off of that pick and roll, and then they either score or don't, and that's just kind of what happens every time. Like, does James Harden say, "Oh, 2," or look over to Mike D'Antoni, and then look back at the team and then relay the information? Like, it doesn't feel like that's happening at all.
Because you don't have the autonomy. It's not like if Bobby Knight's your coach in college, where he wants to control every play. And by the way, the only coach to coach an undefeated team to an NCAA championship. No shots. It's just that that's how he operates. Versus in the NBA, when James Harden has the ball as the coach, you should be able to breathe. Woo! James got the ball. He knows what we want.
You know, we're running right now. We're running
that's
James.
That's the play.
We're running James.
No doubt. No question.
Thank you so much for the call, Big Mo. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. If you leave us a voicemail, Reggie will listen to it. And if he deems it worthy, he will play it on the show just like this.
What up, Joe? This is Todd in Boston. Question for you guys. soft move or boss move? Public displays of affection, PDA, at the gym. I was there the other day in Boston, and this couple was making out. They were working out, then they were making out and kissing all over each other. And I was like, man, get out of my eyesight. But I wanted to check with you guys what this was before I went further with my judgment. Keep getting them checked.
Jalen's excited about this one, Todd. Jalen's excited about this one.
All right, a couple of things. Thank you for calling, Todd. Big shout, Boston. Shout out. We appreciate the love. Here's what I learned to do, Todd. This is such a healthy thing. And by the way, I stop myself doing this multiple times a day.
Huh.
Only worry about you and don't judge others.
Yep. Okay.
Because here's what you don't know about their relationship. You might see them and be like, it's inappropriate, get a room while y'all kissing. For all you know, one of them could have just gotten some fatal health issue that they just got the news about. One of them probably could have gotten news that something happened to one of their family members or loved ones. One of them could have just got fired from their job. Or they're probably just really into one another and you wish you had that in your job.
Let me go another direction with this. Okay, it's hard to argue with that part, Jalen, but you don't have to be kissing with tongue in the gym, okay? Regardless of all those scenarios, if the gym is a pop kiss environment, it is not a tongue kiss environment. It's like, come on now. And also, if any of those things happen in your life, Jalen, what are y'all doing at the gym? You know? Like, what are y'all doing? When the gym is the first place you go? Like, come on. I think the gym is a pop, kiss, hello, and goodbye environment. It is not a kiss for pleasure environment. It is. It is. I understand if you're a little handsy, you know, sometimes just some tight clothing, and so you can't keep your hands to yourself. I understand that, but no tongue kissing at the gym. You can tongue kiss on the subway, you can tongue kiss at the bar, you can tongue kiss in the park, but the gym might be one of those environments where I'm with Todd. Maybe I don't need to see that. Just throw it out there.
I'm telling you, fam, I just learned not to judge what other people are doing because you never know why. For all you know, they don't have money for a room.
Get a room has never been. Get a room has never been like an actual. You know, it's a hypothetical scenario. Like no one's actually going to go get a room at a hotel when they say that. But I'll say one thing that makes me really uncomfortable. I hate to see couples fighting. You know what I mean? Like the opposite. It's like, oh, we don't want you to have PDA. Okay, for fun. But you know what I really don't want to see? I don't want to see couples fighting. Sometimes I feel like just grabbing them both and being like, you guys love each other. Whatever you're arguing about doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it really bothers me every single time. And it just makes me sad. So you know what? I'm not going to complain about people kissing when what bothers me is people arguing.
But there's levels to PDA. Here's what I learned about.
That's what I said. Pop kisses are fine. Tongue kiss is not okay.
But here's what I learned about relationships. Everybody's always telling the other couple how they should behave. Like, do they hug too much? Do they hold hands too much? Do they go too many places together? Oh, man, you soft. You want to bring your girlfriend. Oh, dude, you soft. You want to bring your boyfriend. Like, so you can't truly judge because usually when you're in a relationship with somebody, that should be like your best friend.
If you call 985-80 Jalen, you can leave us a voicemail. Reggie's going to listen to it. If you give him a shout out, it seems like, because they all give him a shout out, he'll put it on the show just like this.
What up? It's your boy Kenny Mack from alongside New Jersey, a.k.a. putting up 40 with your shorty. First of all, shout out to the minister and gatekeeper of voicemails, Reg. Shout out to Baron. Shout out to the whole cast. All right, got a quick question for you guys, man. Soft move or boss move? Jalen Rose potion making me a father, or almost. We're about to find out. And second question is Jacoby. You're not alone. I am also a barber thought. Yes, I said barber thought. I do hop from barber to barber. I don't feel like waiting, and sometimes I just want to get my cut and go. So yeah, I'm with you with that one, bro. As anything, give the people what they want. Keep getting those checks. And keep doing the good work, fellas. Peace.
I got to address the barber thought thing. First of all, shout to Kenny Mack in New Jersey. I got my hair cut this morning. And Jalen, you've said this before, successful people have routines. My day is meticulously planned down to the minute. And I go to the barbershop very early in the morning on Tuesday on my way to work. The particular one I go to, because my other barbershop isn't open at that time, is always empty. Always empty at that time in the morning. It's just way too early for anyone to be up and getting their hair cut that's not named David Jacoby. I go in there today. There are 2 barbers there that have both cut my hair before, and I go in there, and they're both cutting someone's head. And I was surprised. And the young lady went to me and was like, oh, who do you want to cut your hair? And I was like, are you crazy? Who do I want to cut my hair? You think I'm going to sit there and let one of y'all finish and just watch that chair be empty while I wait for the other person to cut their hair? My haircut's very easy to accomplish. You guys are both can do a mediocre job, which is all I'm looking for. So I just told them whoever is done first.
So what I'm noticing is a pattern of behavior that has nothing to do with the barber.
What's that, Mr. Rose?
You're the kind of person, I wrote this down earlier. You were like, you go to Staples Center now.
Yep.
This leads to the guy that becomes a Die Easy fan.
Yeah.
The exact same person that wants somebody to cut their hair when the chair is available, but gets on national radio and says that they're an average barber like he's not famous.
First of all, this barber's not listening to Jalen Jacoby. What? Okay? This barber's not in the demo. What? Okay? You don't need me to explain.
We don't have a demo.
She's not in the demo. But she does a great job. But she does a great job. I don't think she's a big sports fan.
And so, let me say something about the other thing that he said during the call. I want to give away the potion again. Okay? It gives you energy and it gives you stamina. You can just make yourself some hot water. Really simple. Pour some apple cider vinegar in there. Pour some cayenne pepper in there. Stir it with honey. And put a dash of lemon in there. It's not going to taste like a smoothie.
It's not going to taste like a smoothie.
But I tell you what, results 110%. You don't realize you have apple cider vinegar in your fridge or your cabinet, but you actually do. You never cooked with it, but you have it. I promise.
Thank you so much for the call, Kenny Mack, New Jersey. Shout out. Ladies, don't forget, call 985-80-JALEN. Tomorrow is Women Crush Wednesday, where we take exclusively female voicemails. Today, we're taking all callers like this one.
Jalen and Jacoby, what's good? This is Ray calling from Savannah, Georgia, but really from Louisiana. So what's up to the whole staff? Shout out to everybody. Have a question. Have been having these Hall of Fame questions a lot lately. Has a buckets guy ever made the NBA Hall of Fame? I was trying to think. I couldn't actually rack my brain about who has been just straight about buckets in the NBA Hall of Fame. I was thinking maybe Ricky Pierce, Vinny Microwave Johnson. I don't think either one of them in the Hall of Fame. So I was thinking guys like in today's game like Jamal Crawford or Lou Williams. They just straight about buckets. Do they have a chance to get into the Hall of Fame? What's your opinion, both of you guys' opinion on that? Shout out to the old outro. Giving the people what they want. Giving the people what they need. Hey!
Thank you for the call,
Thank you
Ray.
for the call. Representing Georgia and Louisiana in the building. A couple of things. I have to do a distinction for our fine caller. We appreciate the support. They're heat check caliber players that get buckets and flurries like Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford, but they're not necessarily considered prolific scorers like a Kevin Durant who's led the league 4 times and been an MVP. So there are players that fit that distinction. I'll give you one that didn't make it that should. Eddie Johnson, who scored more points than any substitute ever. And a player that did, that's prolific. My fave. You seen the poster. Iceman, with his legs crossed, sitting on 2 ice cubes.
I would say that what he means by a bucket guy, and I'm interpreting a little bit here because all NBA players do other things on the basketball floor, whether they're known for them or not, is I would predict that Ray Allen would fit that category. He's definitely going to go to the Hall of Fame. No one was ever like, oh, Ray Allen is here for his defense. You know, no one was ever like, oh, Ray Allen's going to give us rebounds and assists tonight. Like, he was on the floor to score, and that's what he did. So if Ray Allen fits in your criteria, I think that he would be someone who will be in the Hall of Fame that is a bucket guy.
Speaking of scoring and getting buckets, I love Sugar Ray. Got to keep him off Instagram, Twitter, and social media.
You sure do. You sure do. He's socially awkward. He real socially awkward. If he didn't delete his account by now, what's he trying to get out of it? You know, he gotta delete his account. Come on, Ray. Let's listen to one more voicemail.
Is the Lord of the Rings cultural?
Oh wow. I never considered
Thank you
that.
for the call. Appreciate the love. I'll make it quick as he did. Yes.
Oh, I've never considered that because I contend that Star Wars is certainly not cultural, okay, especially since it's a Disney property. I also contend that Star Trek is certainly not cultural. However, I have not considered the Lord of the Rings books or stories or movies yet, and I have to say that I agree with Jalen Rose. Yes, the Lord of the Rings is cultural. In my personal life, I've met a lot of people that are weirdly into those stories and those movies. None of them shared a complexion with my co-host, Jalen Rose. Thank you so much for listening to the pod. We'll always leave you the dope pod to step to. I know you subscribe to the Jalen Jacoby podcast, but tell a friend to subscribe to the podcast. Rate us on iTunes. Also subscribe to the Nickel Package podcast, another podcast I'm on. It's all about football. Some very talented football voices. You will learn a lot every single day of the week. And ladies, call 985-80-JALEN. All female voicemails tomorrow. Follow us on the Twitter feed that is at Jalen and Jacoby. We'll be back tomorrow with another dope pod to step to. We really appreciate you. Our favorite podcast.
We're not done. We're not done.